The last topic is about measurement and meaning. You may ask why these two terms, what these two terms have in common, or what is the difference between measurement and meaning, and I will explain you why I put them together, even if they are different. Look at this picture, and I will zoom it. What we can see is road traffic in Kuala Lumpur, and what we can observe as social scientists, we can observe that there are cars and bikes. So we may ask the proportion of passengers carried going by bike or by car. We may measure the time of getting into the center of the city, if it's faster on bike or by car. We can measure proportion of car brands, cars. We can count passengers. We can measure the flow traffic different days in a week, or different weeks or months in a year. We can measure various things, and also, if you see above the upper side, there's a train, and we can measure if train is faster, or if I take train, I get in the city faster than by car, which day, and etc. So this is an example what is measurable variation of traffic flow. We can measure, these are in 3 months, in period of 3 months, and we can measure number of passengers, and we can see some pattern, some oscillation in the flow and in number of passengers. So measurement of social behavior, what we have done or we talk about, leads to discovery of its regularity. We can discover regularities in traffic by measuring it. It's quite simple, and this is one way how we can study social reality, society, that we measure social behavior and we discover its regularity. There is a second way how to approach society. We can ask why these cars stop and the other cars are going. Why these people are here and not in the road, and why these people cross at the crossing and not anywhere, and why there is this triangle sign, if you can see it. Why these triangles? Does it have any relationship with the red light? Or we may ask various questions about it, and these questions are not about regularities, about how many, but about why people do what they do, why drivers stop their cars at the red light. So understanding social behavior, we must ask these people to get the knowledge of it, leads to discovery of its rules. So we can say, after the research, we can say these cars are are there because they wait for green light, because green light means that they can go. These people cross at crossing because it is a rule that that pedestrians can cross or are allowed to cross the street only at crossing, and people are walking on the pavement because it's not permitted to walk in the street. So all these are rules, and by describing these rules we describe or explain, we know about society. But it was easy because we know the rules of traffic. What we do in social sciences is searching for rules when we don't know them. We don't know rules of the game of these guys on the street. There are two balls, and somebody is playing, somebody is watching. Who is playing, who is watching? So we have to do research to discover rules. But it's not only by counting how many balls are there, how many legs, how many people participate, but we must ask them, understand their perspective, and ask them to explain the rules or explain their experience. We must take their perspective to understand the rules of the game. Perhaps they would say there are no rules, and we must look if they are willing to, if they know the rules. Perhaps there are rules, but they don't know about these rules. So this is the perspective of rules. And sometimes we even don't expect any rules and or regularities. In this traffic jam, is there any regularity? Is there any rule? Yeah, sometimes it's difficult to find order, especially in revolutions, in some events which seems to be chaotic. So it is difficult to find order in it. But in many even many conflicts are ordered. We don't see the order in the first view, but if we do research, we can discover the order. But at the first sight, the order is not present. To summarize, in principle, there are two ways how to explain what is happening in societies: describing social rules or social regularities. Therefore, society appears ordered because, and we can choose, because people follow social rules. For example, they stop at red light because they know this is a rule of traffic, or they can break this rule, of course, but they know they break the traffic, and they are prepared to for consequences. Or the second approach is that we consider society ordered because people are constrained by social factors. For example, children are under influence of gendered education. They don't know about it. They don't know any rules of gendered education, and there is a question if there are any rules of gender education written somewhere, and we can make somebody, we can force somebody to follow these rules, because it would be difficult if they are not written anywhere. So there are two approaches. And what are methodological implications of this distinction between regularities and rules? There is significant implication which is translated into two types of research methods, qualitative and quantitative. Sometimes we talk about qualitative research and quantitative research, or mixed research, which mix both together. And the qualitative one, which concerns rules, demand researcher, or if a researcher wants to discover social rule, he or she have to observe society from the perspective of its members. It must take a position imaginatively or even physically of subject he or she observe. And for this type of research, if we want to discover social rules, qualitative methods are better, or are better suited, because they aspire to capture social life as participants experience it. They are suitable to capture experience of social life, how we as members of society experience social life. While if we want to discover regularities, we should use quantitative methods, because these quantitative methods enable us to observe large scale regularities. It's like bird eye perspective on society. We can see regularity, we can measure distances, we can measure flow, or how something is large or how it is strong. So these quantitative methods record variation in social life in terms of categories that vary in amount, so we can measure it. And that's why I put on the first slide, on the front slide, notions of meaning and measurement and meaning, because rules are about meaning. We must understand rule, we must understand the meaning of rules to be able to follow them. If we don't understand rules, we cannot follow them. While to describe society in terms of regularities, we have to be able to measure social behavior. We have to have some indicators, some variables that capture this quantitative aspect of social sciences, of social reality. And question at the end, as usual, write one or two social rules which you know. Try to formulate some social rule, and the next question, try to formulate social regularity, some one or two. What is regular in society but is not rule? And first question concerns rules but not regularities. And as a bonus, if someone wants to solve a puzzle, answer the question: is walking on two legs social rule or regularity? And we will discuss your questions and your answer.